An appeal to property owners to offer their houses for rent after a late-night fire displaces scores of city residents. Plans to import pork to meet increased demands for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. MCTV subscribers promised a much better quality of service after extensive work on our transmission infrastructure. And in sports, RTEA Elite are the champs of the Shotgun Road Tennis Tournament.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. A major disaster averted in the city of Bridgetown as firemen valiantly fought a late-night fire. At least 2 government officials are tonight making an appeal to property owners to come forward and offer their houses as solutions in times of crisis. The appeal follows a late-night city blaze which has left 45 people, including 10 children, displaced. Rachel Agard has this report.
Residents in the close-knit community from Wellington, Oxley, Cypress and Combermere streets have all been affected by the fire. When the smoke cleared, 6 houses were destroyed, 3 suffered major damage and 7 were slightly damaged. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Kirk Humphrey, says his ministry is committed to pay 4 months' rent up front to those who agree to provide housing for those displaced. He says government has a pool of people they will go to in such cases through his ministry's resilience and retention program. But he says they need more permanent solutions that are readily available.
We were paying 3 months rent up front. We're prepared to pay 4 months rent up front and to commit to paying the rents on time. But the reality is that these occasions depend on other Barbadians stepping up to be able to help.
An emotional member of parliament for the city, Minister Corey Lane, tells CBC News there's a serious issue with providing housing solutions to Barbadians in these situations.
And that is why the Ministry of Housing, Government of Barbados, is working on the housing revolution that we've spoken about, because in the past there were a number of houses, I believe it's 4 in every housing area that actually was supposed to be reserved for situations just as these, but because of the crunch that we've had on housing over the last 30 years, a lot of those units are no longer available.
Meanwhile, Ted Joseph, a resident in Cypress Street for over 20 years, said he had just taken a shower when the back part of the house he shares with his 17-year-old son ignited.
My house was like my whole life work. My children raised up there and everything, and to lose part of it like that is a real hurtful thing to me, as well as the neighbors. I mean, the neighbors was more affected than me.
Acting Fire Chief Henderson Patrick has expressed sadness over the circumstances surrounding the fire and the number of displaced people.
The area that we're in is a city area. The housing population, as we can appreciate, is very significant. Houses are very close, and to be able to contain the fire in this area, in the space that we were able to do, it was very significant.
The acting chief has also reminded residents to be mindful about parking along the roadways to allow emergency vehicles to gain access in cases of emergencies. 21 officers with fire tenders from Bridgetown, Bridgetown Port, and Archwell fire stations responded to the blaze. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Barbadians will be able to have parcels and packages ordered online from anywhere delivered right to their doors within the next 18 months. It's part of the continued modernization of the Barbados Postal Service.
No more stressful trips through traffic to collect that parcel from the post office. It will be arriving at your door thanks to a new service offered by the Barbados Postal Service. That announcement from Minister of Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams and Postmaster General Joanne Busby.
Our aim is to have everything that Bajans can expect internationally being able to happen here in Barbados. So if you order something online, we want to get to the point where if you're in the States and I came to your hotel room, that you can order it online and it's delivered right to your doorstep in Barbados, right? That involves a number of moving parts. Obviously, we have to have an arrangement, a proper arrangement with customs to facilitate it for a number of border protection reasons. But once we work through those logistics, we are aiming to have that happen in Barbados.
The minister adds post offices will have to be configured to facilitate the new service.
All of our post offices are going to be configured and reimagined so that they have capacity to handle packages.
Meanwhile, Ms. Busby has made it clear, while logistics are still to be worked out, the Postal Service is already doing door-to-door deliveries.
Currently, we deliver Barbados licenses for persons who have paid online. We are also delivering documents for Barbados Immigration Service, Department, and we are partners with the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for the delivery of prescriptions, having prescriptions filled. And with that service, you can actually pay using our point-of-sale terminals.
Mr. Abrams says micro businesses will benefit from the new service once it comes into full effect. According to him, it will save them from having to purchase delivery vehicles and using couriers. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
While to help some of the island's entrepreneurs maximize their online presence, the Barbados Postal Service is hosting a free workshop. 78 entrepreneurs have subscribed to participate in the event themed Finding the Missing Links, Enhancing Your Digital Strategy with Artificial Intelligence. That two-day event kicks off tomorrow and is being facilitated by Google expert and digital coach Vicente Pimienta, whose trip is facilitated by the United States Postal Service. The Home Affairs Minister says it will encourage business people to expand their thought processes to see the world as their marketplace.
If you have a product in Barbados that is a worthy product, it is a product that excites imagination, it's a product that can do well, you should not be limited to 166 square miles. You should only be limited as far as your imagination can take you. If you have something that Bajans like, chances are somebody else in the world is going to like it. We have to figure out how to make that product known to everybody else, how to make it accessible to everybody else, how to make it deliverable to everybody else, at which point we now take you from being a small business person to being an international or global business person.
Meanwhile, Mr. Pimienta says the information he is sharing with the participants will help them to accelerate their businesses.
And I think combining it with the postal services, it's amazing because we're all moving into shipping and putting your businesses online and tapping into the world business. And that's the key thing here, is to help the small entrepreneur, the younger entrepreneur, because that's the future of Barbados, help them understand how to overcome the most common obstacles online.
Well, that event will be held at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre. The planned amalgamation of this country's social service agencies should be completed by year-end. The update from Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey. The agencies, which will be brought under one umbrella body for the Child Care Board, Welfare Department, National Disabilities Unit and the National Assistance Board.
I know that the family is going to be the cornerstone of our transformation. I know that we will finish this amalgamation before the end of this year to be able to offer a total service to people. It's going to make a big, big difference. We're going to finish that. We're allowing the unions now to have their say and to make sure that we do it in accordance with what the unions want, but to be able to, not for me, not for the BLP, but for the people.
Government is planning to import pork to ensure it can meet the increased demands anticipated for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. This was revealed by Minister of Agriculture and Nutritional Security Indar Ware during a Barbados Labour Party St. Philip West branch meeting last evening. Minister Ware says the decision was taken after meeting with local pig farmers.
Because we recognize that if you're going to have 30,000 more people in your space in one given month, they must eat. And we sat and we were frank. They told me up front they cannot meet the demand. Mind you, we got 1% growth in pork production in Barbados, first quarter. But what we have to do is be honest with ourselves. And therefore, when they were able to say to me, Minister, we will produce all that we can, but some will be imported. We agreed.
I think the focus will remain on ramping up local pork production. Mr. Ware says the authorities will be revisiting the duties on imported pork, which in some cases are significantly below the maximum tariff of 185%. We take a break here, but coming up, the police investigate an apparent drowning at Browns Beach. The police are probing an apparent drowning at Browns Beach on Bay Street in the area of the old Pirates Cove property. Lawmen say the unresponsive body of an unidentified male was discovered about 6:36 p.m. yesterday. Police say an unknown male pulled the body from the water and a female beachgoer administered CPR. According to reports, personnel from the ambulance service were summoned to the area. They transported the victim to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, where he was subsequently pronounced dead by a medical doctor. Police say the victim is about 5 feet 11 inches tall, of medium build, about 220 pounds, and of dark complexion. He was dressed in a plaid beach pants, lime green underwear, shirtless, and barefooted. Anyone who can provide information that can assist officers with their investigation is asked to call the nearest police station. Member of Parliament for Christchurch East, Wilfred Abrams, has visited the children of St. Christopher and St. Bartholomew primary schools ahead of tomorrow's Common Interest examination. The students at St. Christopher Primary welcomed the MP and spent some time with him in the school's hall. Mr. Abrams told them it is natural to be nervous, but has reminded them this is the first exam of many.
The important thing when you move on from this is to do well wherever it is that you go. Because you're going to have many different opportunities. You have CXC and CAPE and all them to correct yourself and get back to where you want to get back to. I know people have in their minds the schools that they want to go to, and everybody wants to go to Harrison College, or people want to go to Queen's College, or St. Michael's, or Commonwealth, or Foundation, or whatever. I mean, everybody has those in their head. What is more important is you end up at a school that is catered for you.
Meanwhile, at St. Bartholomew's Primary, the minister urged the students, amid their nervousness, to do their best.
If you've done your best and you're allocated a school, it doesn't matter where you've gone. You get to start afresh and proceed. This might be the most important exam for you at this point in time, but you can take another exam, another set of exams when you're 15 or 16. If you continue school past that, you can take another set when you're about 18. If you continue past that, you can be taking exams at 19, 20, 21. If you go past that, you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you can be taking exams out to 25. So this is the first important exam for you, but it's not the be-all and end-all.
32 Class 4 students at the Shirley Chisholm Primary are being advised to give of their best in tomorrow's examination. Member of Parliament for Christchurch West Central, Adrian Ford, gave words of encouragement to the students who will be joining hundreds of their counterparts to sit that exam. He also presented them with pencils, rubbers, sharpeners, and other tools to be used during the examination.
I want to say today, and to implore each and every one of you to leave the word impossible alone. Take it out of your vocab, because tomorrow at the exam, everything is possible. And after that exam, with all the avenues and the areas that, the new areas that government will be entering into, the new dimensions, you will have endless possibilities.
Meanwhile, Minister in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Sandra Husbands, has presented examination kits to Class 4 students of the West Terrace Primary School.
The examination kits are just one of the things that I seek to do for the school. The reason why we consider it important to do it is because I think our children need to be inspired. I think that when they go into the 11th class exam, they must not go in there nervous and frightened, but rather go in and do their best. But importantly for me, it is that when they get the school that they're assigned to understand that they can make the most of that school. Right now, as a government, we are looking at how we can redo our schools to make our schools, the environment physically better, and then to transform the way in which we teach our children. It is not good enough for our children to be coming out from school and not have a skill or a certificate.
MCTV subscribers can expect a much better quality of service now that extensive work has been completed on the transmission line and antenna for MCTV at Sturgis. Riggers braved high winds on Sunday morning, climbing 520-foot transmission tower to get the job done. Stacey Russell was there and tells us more.
It was 28 years ago that the first multi-choice TV, fondly known as MCTV, transmit antenna was installed at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation's transmission tower at Sturgis, St. Thomas, bringing subscribers digital quality content. Well, the corporation is continuing its upgrade of equipment and for the first time tackling that original MCTV antenna. Head of the CBC's engineering department, Maurice Bailey, explains.
What we did is replacement of the transmit antenna as well as do some refurbishment at the end of the transmission line by replacing a connector up there that had some issues.
Chief MCTV Officer Andrew Green says that planning for the future is priority.
We're also de-risking our operation in that what the engineering team has done is to ensure that we have 2 antennae in place so that should one fail, then we will have a backup system to ensure the continuity of service.
The managers were among the team on the ground giving support to the riggers, those climbing over 400 feet of the 520-foot transmission tower, braving high winds and scorching heat to get the job done. Even I pitched in, helping to pull in the tow rope that ferries materials up and down the tower. For Neil Watson and Michael Lovell, this 4.5-hour operation off the ground was more than just another assignment. They see it as providing invaluable service.
Our signal levels have been dropping somewhat. So it's best that we change out the antennas around this time so that we give the customers a better
service,
better connection and better service.
Please feel good that when you go there and do a job and it complete and the customers are happy, then I go home and sleep. And I just feel so good about that. No matter the customers or my Bajan people are comfortable with what they're seeing on television, I think it'll be good.
Now that the antenna has been replaced, this 28-year-old piece of equipment is just another museum piece. Stacey Russell, CBC News.
Thank you, team. Well done. Great news indeed. Veteran band leader Betty West is ready to celebrate Cropover for 2024. Miss West, who celebrates 32 years in the business this year, launched her 7-section band this weekend at Hindten Lounge, Maxwell Main Road, Christchurch.
I am the sort of person, I love our culture, and that's why I remain traditional. And when you see my costumes, you can actually see what I'm depicting in my costume. You know, they have many bands, they're doing their things, but I'm not a follow pattern. But if you notice, I fuse a little feathers in between because, to make it a little bit more modern.
Last year, Cropover Miss West copped 5 of the coveted awards, including the Robert Weitz Award for Best Festival Designer and Large Band of the Year Heritage with her delivery of Soca in the Mass.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Inn, Pause is Power, and by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Time for Sports Night. Damien Best joins us. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Well, CIBC Road Tennis Elite Academy are the 2024 champions of the Village Camp Shotgun Road Tennis Championship. Capped off with a victory by the tournament's most valuable player, Kim Holder, RTEA brushed aside Sonna Heats 3-1 to collect the $5,000 top prize. Here's a look at the finals from the Dighton Park Roach facility in Bush Hall. Big final showdown between the Sonna Heats, number 1 side closest to the screen, and Sonna Heats, the number 2 side. In the mixed doubles, Shaquem Nurse and Angela Burrows punching. That's Nurse with the winner. One of the longer rallies, Mark Venom Griffith and Sheldon Waldron, desirous of some momentum. Waldron into the advertising. Not much separating the two teams, 7 serving 6. Backarm from Nurse doesn't have the requisite elevation. After a switch of ends, the Sonna team finally created enough breathing room to arrive at a winning position. Griffith and Waldron of the Sonna Heats number 1 side registering the 21-17 win over Nurse and Burrows of Sonna Heats number 2 team. Well, you betcha Sonna Heats were back in action this time around for the singles component of the team tournament against CIBC RTEA Elite. Closest to the screen, Kanoja Belgrave fired up for this rivalry against Zion Moore. Opportunity for Moore to respond. Belgrave stranded coming into the court and pays the price. Belgrave would eventually give the defending champions a great start, defeating Moore 21-14. The Sonna Heat sent out their ace player in Venom to restore parity against Tyrese Holder of the Elite Academy. The reach of Holder was a sight to behold, and he can offload a few missiles as well. Brutal. But if you know the character of Venom in big competitions, that will not faze him. Barbados' number 1 player with a subtle change of speed. A switch of ends with Griffith up 10-5. All about game management from that position. Holder with no wiggle room, errors compounding the situation. And once Griffith reached 15 with his opponent stuck in single digits, the Sonna Heats posse, they level the contest at 1 apiece. Venom over Holder 21-11. So it's anybody's match now, and RETA Elite pitted Curtis Jones against Shamon Weeks. This one was as lopsided as they come. Weeks like a deer in headlights. Jones using the width of the court to gain the upper hand. Weeks on his way to market as Jones wraps up the sow, taking the match 21-9 over Weeks of the Sonna Heats. RTEA Elite leading 2-1. A must-win match now for the Sonna Heats. A lot resting on the shoulders of Sheldon Waldron in the far court, who was playing Kim Holder. Holder goes up 8-3. Switch of ends. Waldron did just enough to get out of a sow, benefiting mainly from unforced errors. It didn't look like Waldron had an answer, and this one was over in a jiffy as Holder cruised to the 21-13 victory, securing the 2024 title for the RTEA Elite. Yeah, congrats there. Well, the Belfield Blues A team secured the 3rd place prize and $1,500 after they beat Charleston Weezers 3-2. Well, the Barbados 4x400 meter relay team has missed out on qualifying for the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. The quartet of Kyle Gill, Rasheem Griffith, Raheem Tate Best and Jonathan Jones finished 6th in the 2nd qualifying race last night at the World Athletics Relays in the Bahamas. Running in heat number 2, Team Barbados were clocked at 3 minutes 06.54 seconds, which was slower than their season's best time of 3 minutes 03.72 seconds. And they had run the previous day before that in qualifier number 1. Only the 2 top teams in each of the 3 heats were guaranteed a spot in Paris, along with the 8 teams who ran in the final.
The Business Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Insurance and Social Security Service. More than a contribution, it's your lifeline.
Well, in business, Minister in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, Ryan Strawn, says it is time for Barbadians living in the diaspora to find ways to give back to the country. The minister was speaking during a street mic session at the Barbados High Commission in Tottenham Court Road, London over the weekend. Mr. Strawn adds it is imperative Barbados seeks to achieve as high a return on investments similar to the UK and the USA.
When I speak of investment, I'm not talking about only investment in big hotels and that type of thing. I'm talking about ordinary Bajans working collaboratively to unlock the almost $10 billion in savings that we have across the system, to put that to productive use. And therefore we have to work together. So there are people up here who understand the markets well, who can give advice strategically within the context of the private sector to be able to see those rates of return, as I said, where we invest and how we invest, to be able to make the difference both in Barbados and across the region.
The Barbados Youth Business Trust is charting a new path. Part of that process involves a name change. The company will now be referred to as the acronym BYBT, which stands for Build Your Business Together. General Manager of the organization, Cardell Ferguson, made the revelation at a showcase for entrepreneurs at Sky Mall. Akeem Plinkett reports.
The showcase saw a number of entrepreneurs in the hall of Sky Mall set up their stations to sell their products to the public. General Manager of the BYBT, Cardell Ferguson, says the point of the showcase was to show these entrepreneurs that there are different ways to be able to promote and sell. She also stated that it can show that there is a demand for their products and services.
There is a demand for their products and services where there may be some areas that they need to improve their products and services and they're offering to the public. And what are some of the things that the public can input into their business? Even pricing. Is my pricing appropriate? And is there any other things that I need to take into account when I'm offering things to the public?
One of the participants is Sahai Reed. She owns a flower company named Adorned by Sucre. She says the experience was invaluable.
The public has been very appreciative of the work they've seen. It is a niche product, so they are very enthused about the quality of the work that they can see there. That it looks very natural, the flowers look very natural, but they're all made from fondant, so they love what they're seeing.
What are some of the lessons that you can take away from the experience today?
To not be afraid to step outside their comfort zone and not be afraid to show others your talents and what you have, what you can do.
Another entrepreneur is Cherish Calendar. She owns a natural hair product line called The Natural Experience, and she echoed the same sentiments as Reed.
Most importantly, don't let fear stop you from doing anything. This is my first showcase. I had been in business for about two years, and I was always so scared to do it, and like I said, today was a really good day.
What are some of the things you would have learned being associated with the BYBT?
Being able to relate to people a bit better. Talking is not my strong point, but you know, you would have to communicate a lot more with people, learn how to cater to different people, different personalities.
Akeem Plinkett, CBC News.
That second half in sports starts now with Damien Best.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, Weymouth Wales remain at the top of the BFA Premier League following their latest fixture. The defending champions defeated Kickstart Rush 3-2, while 7th place Empire also took a 3-2 win over 8th place Deacons. CBC's Melissa Farley reports.
This was Empire in the Blue taking on Deacons. Danica Watson in the defense trying to keep out Ozim Henderson. But Henderson decided to hand it over to Zuri Morris. However, it was not to be in this 22nd minute. But it was shortly after that Kimar John, assisted with a pass from Terry Rollock, got away from Deacon's defense and slid one past goalkeeper Kevin Alsop. It was enough to see Empire close out the first half with a 1-0 lead. When the second half got going, it was in the 62nd minute that Keon Atkins tried to bring Deacons on even terms. He got past the wall, but not past keeper Keen James. A minute later, Empire would double their score. Compliments Morris and a hiccup from Deacons keeper, 2-0 to Empire. But it would become 2-1 when a corner kick to the head of Tevin Barker Savory to then the boot of Atkins finally got Deacons on the scorecard.
But Empire still had some gas in the tank, and so too did Morris. And he drove through Deacon's defense, knocking down the keeper, and once again, Empire had a 2-goal advantage. However, about 6 minutes later, a foul on Kavian Innes by Akeem Pittering resulted on a penalty call from the referee, and Atkins was the one to step up and take it. The score now 3-2 to Empire. And when the final whistle blew, that score remained the same, 3-2 to Empire, who moved up to 7th place on 14 points, while Deacons dropped to 8th on 13. On to the next, a clash with defending champions Weymouth Wales and Kickstart Rush, and good teamwork between Nadri Butcher, Hayden Holligan and Shaquille Stewart put Wales up 1-0 in the 23rd minute. But then 10 minutes later, Kickstart showed off their teamwork also. It was through the pair of Ethan Taylor and Kevin Lucas, beating a struggling defense, and its keeper Kishmar Primus won all the score, and that was the first half. In the final session, Taylor rewarded himself for his previous effort and got past a missing keeper and his teammates Akeem Hill and Andre Applewick. Kickstart was now leading 2-1. But it was then 2-all when Akil Applewick pulled Wales back into the game in the 64th minute with the assistance from Mario Harewood. And then from Butcher to Harewood and once again to Akil, Wales were back on top of the game. They were now up 3-2. And that was it when the ref wrapped up the game. Wales still leading the standings, this time with 35 points, and Kickstart remaining third with 26. Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Well, Acting Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw has expressed condolences at the passing of former president of the Barbados Football Association, George Lascaris. Ms. Bradshaw recounted that Lascaris had set out on a mission to modernize football in Barbados and to exploit its commercial value for the benefit of people across the country. She says it was a privilege to work with Mr. Lascaris, especially through the Pinelands Youth Soccer Academy. The acting Prime Minister also extended condolences on behalf of the government and people of Barbados to his wife, 2 sons, other family members, and the Barbados football fraternity. Lascaris passed away over the weekend after a long battle with cancer.
And that's our time tonight. Thank you for keeping it with us. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.